You know what, Jim? We're going to do something live here in the show that's actually going to play in the experience that we just recorded a few days ago before everything came out to address what we're about to talk about. Let's just quickly do this.
Wait a minute. Hold on here. That sounds like a fucking 2007 Vince Russo TNA stipulation. Let me try to explain to the people in English that they potentially may be able to correlate in their heads and understand. What happened was the program that we just did a couple of days ago is in the final edit to be released, and we talked about something and alluded that something might happen, and then it actually has happened before we got the program out alluding to it. So therefore, we are about now to talk about that thing, not only here, but also we are going to put some line or bit of information of this into that show as well, so that we don't sound like that we don't know what we're talking about, because we did, it just wasn't public yet. Is that kind of, for the layman, what I've explained what's about to happen here?
I think so. As you said, we are in the final edits of the experience where we discuss this. So in order to make sure that it's not completely outdated, we're going to jump in kind of like when the Wrestle War 90 rap commercials were out there, but then Sting got hurt. And breaking news, due to the dastardly injury to Sting,
Yeah.
Lex Luger will be taking his place. And that way they also got to erase Dr. Death from the commercial. But that's kind of what we're doing, and we'll do it right now. Hold on, let's get a tone.
Oh, we got to get a tone.
We are here with a breaking news update as you are listening. We want to make sure everyone is informed that as you are listening, we are here in the future. The great Brian Last and Jim Cornette, and NXT has a new broadcast home, and that is the CW network. The NWA appears to be shit out of luck. Jim, anything you want to say before we go back to this report?
Well, actually, that's the thing. We've already been talking about this, and by the time we could, even before we could release the program, it has come to pass, and the NWA is, so it's WWE NXT 2CW NWA FUCKYOU. Did I summarize that in as brief terms as possible?
As we are currently reporting, I believe so, yes.
Well, there you go. Apparently, from what we are understanding, they are giving, or paying, I shouldn't have just giving, they're paying WWE, the CW network that is, somewhere around $50 million. Is this what I heard?
I believe so. Should we
now,
go?
Obviously, they weren't gonna give that much to Billy, but even if they were going to give 20% of that to Billy, that's $10 million, right? That would, did he not just, he didn't blow the money, he snorted it.
No, he didn't snort it. He ordered someone else to snort it.
He ordered it snorted. Can we get this whole thing sorted? Do you have a release of some kind, or how are we going to do this?
Well, back to the original segment you're listening to right now here on The Experience, and we will continue here on the Drive-Thru. Boy, that's loud. Let me lower that.
What in the world? Does anybody understand what's going on here?
Jim, I have a press release. This was sent out from...
Don't make me change my tone, by the way, the next time that tone comes up.
WWE Communications sent this out November 7th, 4:46 p.m., 2 days ago as we are recording. The CW network to become the exclusive broadcast home to WWE NXT. NXT makes broadcast television debut with 5-year deal beginning October 2024. Network to air live events featuring WWE's next generation of superstars 52 weeks a year. And Swami is going in the background. Jim, why don't we stop right there with this initial news? And again, we had just talked about the fact that we knew for a while that CW was interested in wrestling. And it just so happens that while a lot of people wanted that spot, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT had their rights come up. And here we are.
Well, And there's one or two things, at least, about this that perplex me. But we know that in the past, Dave Marquez, who has a variety of programs under his championship wrestling banner, is on a pretty good amount of CW stations as part of his affiliates, and he had been talking to these people. He's got the Car Shield thing going, but Dave doesn't plaster all of his intentions all over Broadway, so people may not have heard about that as much. But Billy Corgan has been more than open about Top 20 Network, CW. And the timing of this, obviously, the talks have been going on with everybody for some time. I'm wondering if Billy knew they were talking to Nick Khan up there or whoever's doing their TV deals. But I think, obviously, the cocaine skit business didn't help them. And maybe it gave the CW network a convenient excuse, but unless Billy had a non-revocable, no, we can't tear this up, the deal is done, why has he gone this far in talking about it? And then just to get slapped in the face like a Monty Python skit with a fucking fish, boom, no, we gave $50 million to the WWE, and who the fuck are you? I'm sorry, wrong rock star, but you know what I'm saying. How did this come this far?
The interesting thing is, I guess the order of events, Billy Corgan went public with saying that they signed a deal with a top 20 network. Then it's out there public that he said this, and then it came out that he was talking about the CW, and a lot of people said, oh, wow, that's pretty significant. Did anyone at the CW at that point say, why aren't we doing a deal with like WWE or something? Who are these guys? And then all of a sudden, the next thing they see is Cocaine Gate. Why are we doing business with these guys? And you have a slick agent like Nick Khan or someone.
Vince does his cocaine off camera.
A deal without a deal isn't a deal. And deals could fall apart real quick.
That's fucking deep, man. That's deep, man.
Well, I didn't invent that line, but a deal without a deal isn't a deal. And you just have to give WWE a slight open. Just a tiny opening to get in there, and they'll take it. And they got. And by the way, we'll talk about the NWA in a moment. Let's talk about what this means for NXT.
Well, yes, and that's obviously it's a major increase in their rights fees from what that has been. I think I saw briefly they were getting like $15 million or some estimate of that. No, I don't know that anybody has the exact figures. The way it's broken down for the NXT program from USA. If this is indeed legitimate, that's a major multiple time increase. But again, we're going back to talking about broadcast television that I talk about all the time when we've done OVW deep dives or the territories or Smoky Mountain. Fans now think that wrestling has to be on national cable to be a big company. If they really want to grow the WWE main rosters, Raw and SmackDown, don't need any help booking a live event schedule, right? On their Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or their whatever their fucking weekend schedule. But if they want NXT talent to really get experience, the next level up from the fucking National Guard Armory in Delray Beach, Florida or whatever, and everything down around the Performance Center, is to send them on the road and having their own television show on broadcast stations in various major markets across the country will make it easier for them to promote their brand coming to that town and give the people in developmental their reps. Sort of, it could be OVW, but a national goddamn schedule, and they're being paid to do it. That's one thing. And for another thing, it still gives them a presence on broadcast television because they're going to be off Fox, at least with SmackDown, right? So now they're back on. CW is not Fox, but NXT ain't SmackDown either. So, but at least the WWE maintains a presence on broadcast television in major markets around the country. So I think it's good for the NXT program, the talent, the guys and girls, their training, whatever, as well as establishing them as more of a third entity. And it still keeps the whole company's foot in broadcast television. What else am I not thinking about?
You know, and the other thing too is this is a year away, October 2024. They're on a network now that's keeping WWE programming with SmackDown. So they don't have to worry about having their time slot fucked with, more than likely not.
Yeah.
Or anything else. This is a big deal. Let me go back to the press release here. Here's a quote from Dennis Miller, president of the CW network.
It's what he's doing these days?
Not that Dennis Miller. We are thrilled to welcome the WWE brand into the CW sports portfolio as they play an integral role in our mission to bring live sporting events to the network year-round. WWE NXT is a perfect fit for the CW, thanks to its dynamic young talent, featuring the hottest rising stars in the sport and exhilarating, unpredictable weekly events. The passion and engagement of WWE's fan base is unmatched. And we are eager to grow that audience as WWE NXT's new home on broadcast television. Very nice comment there.
Very nicely crafted.
Here's a quote from Nick Khan. The CW has made impressive moves over the past year with its live sports programming schedule. It's a truly exciting opportunity to expand NXT's audience by bringing the show to broadcast television for the first time in NXT's history. Launched by WWE Chief Creative Officer Paul Triple H Levesque, WWE NXT has aired weekly since 2012 and features the brightest young talent in sports entertainment. Nearly 90% of the participants in last year's WrestleMania were developed under the NXT banner. Led by WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels, NXT is popular with younger audiences, ranking number 1 in cable primetime on Tuesday nights last quarter among adults 18 to 49 and 18 to 34. Year to date, NXT's average viewership is up 30% among adults 18 to 49. WWE superstars such as Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch
are not on the program.
Have all come up through NXT. And that's about it from the press release here, but you know, this is a pretty big deal for NXT. I think there's no reason why CW wouldn't give them a lot of attention. And they'll be in more homes. They'll be available to more people now. It'll be very interesting how different NXT will be in a year or 2 years than it is right now.
Yeah, and that's what when I talk about broadcast television, because a lot of people are, Cornette's old-fashioned. No, if you want to not only promote live events, but also to reach people's homes in the days of cord cutting, right? If you can't afford cable, well, you can get the fucking local stations for free on a goddamn, modern television. So it's not like anybody has to pay anything to see your local stations where you see your fucking local news and your local weather and dew points or whatever. And CW as a network of those stations as a whole, they're not as big as they talk about their live sports. I would assume they don't have the NFL or Major League Baseball. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, local affiliates do. The CW11, Pix 11 here in New York, they have the limited amount of local games the Mets and Yankees put on broadcast TV, which is a very small, maybe like 30 a year.
Yeah, but not as part of the entire network package. They are not outbidding Fox and NBC Sports or whatever.
No, it's a very small. It's the smallest of the broadcast networks, and I think they have the least amount of money too. Not to say they aren't a real network or anything.
Well, yeah, they've only got $50 million to spend on this one. But in the scheme of things,
they don't have billions to put down. That's what it is.
Right. In the scheme of things, they're not bidding for those level sports or even for SmackDown itself. But they can get in the game for NXT and as a network try to draw a younger audience, as they say, to their network to maybe get hooked on some of their other programs. That's, kind of and they can afford that. And at the same time, it's a bigger deal for the WWE than USA was giving them because WWE is hot-shotted. When USA made that deal, it was what? NXT, your wrestling school on television. But now they've had a few years where they've hot-shotted the fucking thing, and they've gotten the numbers up like we've been talking about. And it was worth something to a smaller entity in that respect to go over there to broadcast. So I think it's brilliant.
The CW can't get the NFL, but the XFL wishes they were on the CW.
Yes, and there's still a bunch of money in everybody. It's the overall scheme of things and the theory of relativity.